Well, who doesn't love fights in the NHL? Today we're going to be going over the top 5 craziest fights that ever happened. At the number 5 spot, we got April 20th, 1984, the Good Friday Massacre, which is the Canadiens versus the Nordics. It's called the Battle of Quebec and was one of the most intensive rivalries in the league in the 1980s and the 1990s before the Quebec Nordics moved to Denver. The most intense moment of the rivalry became known as the Good Friday Massacre. Both benches emptied during this one, and by the time it was over, Bruce Hood had handed out 252 penalty minutes and ejected 10 players. Future Hall of Famer Peter Stastny suffered a broken nose, and Gene Hamill was knocked out cold during this brawl. And by the way, yes, this took place during a playoff game. The referees ended the second period early as a result of the biggest fight of this game and extended the third period. In the number 4 spot, we got April 9th, 1981, the Kings versus the Rangers. The benches clearing, brawl spills into the stands. This was one chippy hockey game from the start. It was Game 2 of the opening round playoff series between the Los Angeles Kings and the Rangers from the Fabulous Forum in Inglewood, and both teams came out hitting both before and after the whistle. By the end of the first period, tempers on both sides were boiling over. Players started pushing and shoving as both sides were heading towards the locker rooms, and soon the full rosters of both teams were going at it. Some of the moves in this brawl reassembled professional wrestling, and the forum organist added to the circus atmosphere by playing Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf in the midst of the proceedings. It got so out of hand that at one point during this lengthy brawl, the Rangers enforcer Nick Ziu grabbed the Kings' third-string goalie and started punching him repeatedly. The only catch, neither player was dressed for the game, and they battled in the first row of the stands. Order was finally restored, and the teams managed to finish the game, which the Kings hung on to and won 5-4. In the number 3 spot, we got November 20th, 1986, the Bruins versus the Canadiens, the brawl in the hallway. The Canadiens and the Bruins have always been rivals, and this fight was as crazy as any in recent memory. As he was being escorted off the ice after being ejected from the game, the Canadiens enforcer Chris Nilan took a swing at Boston's Kang Light. The result was a brawl that wasn't confined on the ice. Players from both teams were fighting in the hallway that led from the Bruins bench to the dressing rooms. In the end, Nilan earned himself a 3-game suspension for his actions, as did Ryan Walter, and Claude Lemieux was suspended for 1 game. There were plenty of fisticuffs present in this game, and none of them all that typical. The Habs ended up skating off with a costly 3-1 victory. In the number 2 spot, we got April 8th, 1971, the Rangers versus Maple Leafs. This brawl had it all, including several of Hall of Fame players taking part, like Rod Gilbert, Brad Park, Bernie Parent, Eddie Giacomin, Daryl Sitter, Jaquiz Plant, Dave Keon, and Norm Ullman throughout Game 2 of this opening round playoff series, but at this point, all heck broke loose and both benches emptied. Both starting goalies also got involved, with Giacomin and Parent taking off their masks and pads and dropping the gloves. You don't just see brawls like this anymore, especially during the Stanley Cup playoffs. The kicker to this fight was when Bernie Parent's mask was taken by Vic Hadfield, who hurled it into the crowd. Once there, it was passed up to the blue seats at the top of the Madison Square Garden, and despite an announcement made over the PA and searches by the police, it could not be located. Parent did not have a backup mask and refused to play without one, so he was replaced by Plant after this brawl was over. And in the number 1 spot, we got December 23rd, 1979. The Bruins head into the stands at MSG. The Boston Bruins and the New York Rangers played in a close hockey game to a frantic finish. The Bruins led 4-3 when New York's Phil Esposito had a last-second breakaway chance against his former team. Bruins goalie Jerry Cheevers stacked his pads and made the save, which allowed Boston to hold on for the win. The teams milled about and shoved one another a bit after the final whistle when things got out of hand. Boston's Al Seckard slugged New York's Ulf Nilsson, and things started to escalate. Believe it or not, it took a month for NHL President John Ziegler to hand out suspensions. O'Reilly had to sit for 8 games, while Peter McNabb and Mike Milbury had to sit out 6 games each. Alright guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and let me know which one of these fights surprised you the most. I'll see you guys next time and have a great day. Peace.